Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification. Audio versions of the show are available through Anchor. And if you'd like to contact the show, you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the Upper Tier. Joining me tonight for a quick review of the fixtures for the new Premier League season that were released there yesterday, as far as I know. Always an exciting time, but also joining me tonight, Dean from the Transfer Show, as always, and the Monday Mashup and Shankly Sessions, all these shows on the network. Also joining me, as always, our Liverpool friend, the Red Man himself, Dean Malone. How are you doing, Dean?
All right, lads, how's things?
Good, yeah, not a bother. Always a very exciting time for us lads anyway, because we're kind of, once the season rolls around and there's matches, we're kind of, apart from COVID obviously, we're the kind of jet setters over to Liverpool as much as we can.
I was just going to dive in there and say the Premier League will be red again next season, and just became a father today. But other exciting news breaking this morning is that on October 30th, we'll be going to Anfield for the Brighton and Hove Albion game, staying in the famous Henderson House.
John Henderson House.
Again, absolutely fucking immortalised in alcohol. And tell you, there's very few things in life that make you feel as good as you feel when you stand in Anfield and you listen to You'll Never Walk Alone, or even when you get to the ground early, as we have in the past for the Salzburg game and Everton in the FA Cup last year, just before lockdown, going out onto the stand when there's very few people there and you can hear the voices that were there before you. It's an absolutely, other fans probably feel it for their respective clubs, but being in Anfield is a feeling next to none for me. Just to talk about this morning with yourself, Niall, and say that, look, we're going ahead with planning the football trips. I swear to God, I skipped into the hospital to see my son buzzing, like absolutely buzzing. It was just like the icing on the cake.
Listen, I'd say now, right, me and I was sitting in the shop there yesterday, we were planning this out and booking it, and I came home and I texted Noah straight going, I sleep on the floor and I'll give a bollocks for the sleep, right? I was buzzing, buzzing. I was like, that's
one thing, Niall, tell him, there's one thing about air trips, we don't do things fucking half-board. We go out in style.
I sent Noel, we had one of the fucking houses booked, and sent in the Henderson house, goes, fuck it, we book it. He said, yep, let's go. And I was buzzing after. I said, right, that's booked, let's go, lads.
Dean sends me back a message saying that's booked for the Brighton game, and I said, what about the other four? Book it for the five games.
I'd say there's people that went on to try and book that, and they're just saying that those particular fixtures was booked down and saying some absolute see you next Tuesday. He's just sitting there covered in baby oil watching Liverpool videos, and just like every time Jordan Henderson comes on, just
why we're on it, lads, right? The Trent Alexander-Arnold mural is right facing it. The girl sent me a message saying last night. So we have picture opportunities with both.
Shaggy, sure, if that has a house as well, we booked that one as well, so we can go between the two. Happy days. Anyway, let's get into these fixtures. Of course, we'll start being Liverpool, man. We'll start with Liverpool, of course. First four fixtures in August and early September, you got Norwich, Burnley, Chelsea, and Leeds. I'm happy enough with that. How do you feel?
Last time we drew Norwich, look what happened.
Norwich, you're liking to be at home for the first game of the season, but you know you can't have it your way all the time. And as we were slagging, as Darren McCumsky was slagging Eno last night, saying, look, you have to play everyone twice anyway. So whether you play them on the first day of the season, on New Year's Day, on Stevens' Day, or the last game of the season, it has to happen. I think going away to Norwich, he'll be flying high after getting promoted immediately after going down. Keeping relatively the same squad. Now they've lost Wendy, who's going to be a huge loss to them, but like, you know, the confidence is going to be through the roof. They're not going to fear Liverpool. Most teams that come up from the Championship know that they have it in themselves to give it a right go. You know what I mean? The Championship for me is one of the toughest leagues in the world. We've seen teams come down from the Premiership and never return because it's just an absolute riot from the first day of the season to the last day of the season. So they're not going to fear Liverpool. One thing I will say though is, and myself and Niall have touched on it a few times in our last 3 of the Shankly sessions. Liverpool next season are really, really, really going to be up to getting back to the way they were. You know, players didn't perform. They came out publicly. They've not thrown the toys out of the pram. They came out publicly and said that they've a lot to prove. And I just think, I actually think going away from home in the first day of the season is the absolute perfect way for this team to start the season. Go out, make a statement away from home against a flying team coming up after getting promoted. Go into the Burnley game at home, full of confidence. You know, the fans back in the ground. It's going to be an absolutely raucous atmosphere. And then pick up, I'm going to say 6 points from the first 2 games. Go into that Chelsea game. A lot of pressure is going to be on Chelsea because how they finished the season on the 2 shell. So for me, as much as there's pressure on Liverpool to perform after how we started last season, I think all the pressure is going to be on Chelsea coming to Anfield and trying to look. The last time they came to Anfield, they walked all over us like we were non-existent.
100%.
It's not going to be the same again, and all the pressure is going to be on them. And I tell you what, for all the credit Tuchel is getting, doesn't have a phenomenal record against Jurgen Klopp, and that's going to tell in that game. We really see what he's made of. Unless he's given the 200 million that they're talking about to try and step up in that bridge. I just think that is going to be like the telling of their season. If Chelsea get beaten by Liverpool, you know, there's going to be a lot of people like that spotlight is going to get stronger on them.
Look, I think next season the players are going to have a point to prove as well. The fans are back. They're going to want to get out and get that trophy next season after not having the fans there for last season. They're going to want to go back out there now next season and give it all they have. You hope against Norwich, the lads show up. Salah, Firmino, Jota, Mane. You hope they're going to come into that first game of the season ready and raring to go. There's a point to prove against Burnley as well, given that the end of the unbeaten record at Anfield. So, I mean, I think looking at the team next season could be phenomenal. Team could go out and win the league next season, maybe. But,
I think out of 4 games, I think the Leeds game is going to be the toughest one.
Yeah, especially
Ellen Road full of fans is like Anfield on a great European night. Like them fans, after missing out on a great season last season, and missing out, they're going to make up for it. You know, they'll definitely have a 12th man. Out of 4 fixtures, that's the one that speaks to me and says you should be worried.
I look at that first game of the season last season as one of the best games of the season. When you look at it, genuinely, it was phenomenal.
They set down a marker. We talked about on the Shankly sessions on the transfer show. They knew they could go toe to toe with Liverpool. Now they came out on the wrong side of the scoreline, but they got beaten 4-3. But they showed the way they play, and they played like that all through the season, and that's why I applaud Leeds, because even if they had got relegated, you know, you have to give Bielsa credit. He doesn't change the style of play to suit the opposition. He stays the way he is. Because let me tell you, after the season they had, rivals are going. Look what they did against Leeds. Teams are going to fear. Look what they did against City. Teams are going to fear Leeds this season, big time. And I can see the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City really struggling against the teams that are kind of lingering around outside the top 6, because look at Villa, look at Leeds. Wolves are going to come back stronger. It's going to be, next season is going to be really, really good.
To be genuine, I do see Leeds finishing in top 4 next season. If I'm being genuinely honest, I see them competing up there for the next season. I see it being us and City again, maybe Chelsea if they can get the team correct. Obviously, you had a strong end to last season. You just see the likes of us, Chelsea, City, and maybe Leeds competing for top 4 next season. They had a very, very unlucky end to the season last season as well. So,
don't think they have the squad to sustain it. I think they'll struggle. If you, in terms of top 4, I mean, like, you know, I still think they'll play nice football, and I think the fans will be huge, as Dean said, going back into Ellen Road, but I still don't think it'll be enough for them, you know. Going into October and November, we have some nice spacings out for some of the bigger fixtures. October sees us at home to Man City and away to Man United. Two of our biggest fixtures in the season, if you think about it. again, I think this season, really, in terms of whoever's going to win the league, I think it's going to come down to the results against the top six. I think that's how it's really going to go in reality. Because I think teams are going to come back very strong this year. The likes of City, Chelsea, ourselves, even Arsenal to a point. I think Spurs may do some business and still come back strong. I think Leicester are still going to be strong. I think West Ham are going to be strong. And I don't think teams are going to be as wasteful with results as they were this year in terms of dropping points to the lesser teams. I think they're going to be absolutely clinical this year. And I think those top six fixtures are really going to determine who pushes on to win the league. So these ties are pivotal. Then in November, we're at home to Arsenal. A match I love, And then the 30th of November, we're away to Goodison to Merseyside Derby. We owe them one there. One there, big time.
We owe them an arsenal of abuse and a few broken limbs. That's the game I look to. Obviously, you look for United, but I hate everything with a passion.
A lot of Liverpool fans look at Everton last season.
I genuinely hate everything with a passion.
No,
I've been over there for Merseyside derbies. They're fucking wild.
Me and Noel were only talking about that the other day. Butterstown screaming the FA Cup fifth round, phenomenal goal. He's what they're for, obviously. I look at the Everton game from last season, the first game played against them, and Van Dijk getting injured, and not to blame them, but it's changed their season completely. So that obviously I would have hiding after that as well.
I think last season was there was a mental thing with Liverpool as well. I think the longer it went in a game where we were probably level or winning by the odd goal, I think the players were afraid afraid to commit and kill the game because they knew they could see it so easily. The Newcastle game was a prime example. Even after that goal was disallowed, they said, that's probably still going to concede. It happens so often.
Do you reckon that was fair then? Yeah.
Time will tell. Like, you've had Mane coming out and saying he's mentally exhausted. The Liverpool just cope with that mental. They all summer they'll work on getting over that mental block, and I think that's what's going to tell for us next season.
You look at that then as well, where we had two phenomenal seasons, where it was 97 and 98 points.
I know that.
Yeah,
I know that.
Staying going into a third season, no matter what. City broke down. City done the same. When we won it, the team completely broke down. They weren't able to mentally sustain, and I think that's what happened with us last season. And I agree with what you're saying as well, though. Like, a lot of the players were mentally, like Mane, as you said.
We get back to, we'll be successful again.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever seen for Liverpool a tougher Christmas period. If you look from the 18th right through to New Year's Day, we've got Tottenham, Leeds, Leicester, and Chelsea all in a row.
But we also have Aston Villa in December as well, and Ashley Young is after signing for Aston Villa. Emiliano Buendia keeping Jack Grealish. Possibly add to Ollie Watkins' threat up front. Like, Villa aren't going to be a pushover next season. That keeping Jack Grealish is going to be massive for them this summer. I don't see him leaving. I think he's excited by the prospect of what's happening there. And I said it for a few weeks. If the likes of Leeds and Aston Villa can add one or two bits of class to the team, they're definitely going to push the top four, the top six. They're going to push them to the limit, or else they're going to push the top six to another level in themselves to say, right, well, we need to step it up again, to step away from these guys again.
Yeah, I think the intensity of that Christmas period is going to be fairly
serious.
That'll be season defining for us, I think.
That's massive. You always want to start your season well. I look at Liverpool's six fixtures: Norwich, Burnley, Chelsea, Leeds, Palace, and Brentford. Out of the six, I probably saying to myself, the only game I see us losing, dropping points, I could be wrong, I don't want to put the mockers on it. The one game I'm worried out of those six is Leeds. If we can pick up 4 or 5 wins from them 4-6 games, we seen it the year we won it. We also seen it the season before. If we can get running, it's like all teams, but if we can get running, get a bit of confidence in those 4-6 games, we need to have momentum behind us going into December. We can't afford to go in off the back of 2 bad results, because we have Wolves, I think, and then Aston Villa. You know, if you drop any points in either of them 2 games, going into Newcastle, Spurs, Leicester, and who was the other one? Leeds. It's a big ask.
You seen it last season as well, though, didn't you? We got through the fixtures at Christmas, and then we just broke down.
Yeah, we just decapitated. Yeah,
like genuinely, we did. Like we broke down completely in January and February, and then it was only that we got that good one in March, April. Then.
Yeah. I think looking at it, I know we make the point that like it's 38 games and you play everyone twice, and Darren made the point the other day on the WhatsApp group and stuff like that, which we kind of accept. I mean, that is the reality of the league, but the timing of the fixtures at times is key. And when you look at Man City, I'm looking at Man City and I'm looking at Chelsea, and if you look at both their starts, City are going to kick off with Tottenham, Norwich, Arsenal, Leicester. Then they have Southampton. Then they have Chelsea and Liverpool, both away games, back to back.
That's out of the top 4. That's the toughest start. If City get through that with say 5 or 6 wins, and they come into those fixtures where we know they can really play ball and put 3 or 4 by a team and keep that clean sheet, and that's how City build that momentum where they can go on a run of 20, 25, 30 games unbeaten. That is the worry. But again, I'm not going to sit here and say, hindsight, blah, blah, blah. But if Liverpool had that running, we'd be saying the exact same thing, that if they can get through that run of fixtures and then go into those games with a bit of momentum, shit happens. City could go out and have a really, really bad start to the season, but still go into a run. Do you know what I mean?
Which we saying this season. They had a very poor start to the season.
When City had that bad start to the season, everybody was criticising them and saying, "Look, what's going on here? Is Pep done?" Pep came out and done an interview after one of the games and said, "If we don't start winning now, we're in trouble." And the switch just went off or on, and they just obliterated everybody. There was a couple of speed bumps along the way, and not winning the Champions League final is going to be a massive disappointment for some players. But that's the fear. Like, more often than not, City turn up and Liverpool have to be at 120%. Chelsea do. Can Man United maintain a stronger challenge? I don't think so. Then you have the likes of Villa and Leeds pushing along. As I said, those teams are going to push the top 6 to the limit, whereas they might pick up a few wins, or else they're going to push them onto another level and say, right, well, we need to step it up to another gear, because if they're on their tails, we're not doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at Chelsea, their start to the season as well is difficult enough as well. They start off with Crystal Palace, then Arsenal, then Liverpool, then Villa, then Spurs, then City. So
I mean, you're saying Dynamo doesn't Ian Kelly in the group chat there, John, on WhatsApp, absolutely nearly crying his eyes out over all this.
Can I just say something about our beloved Dynamo Ian Kelly? He seems to believe that the FA sat down in an office with Chelsea, the other 19 teams, and said, right, let's royally fuck these over.
I mean, this lad is a conspiracy theorist at his finest, thinking that that's what he done.
The earth is flat.
I thought into him during the night, as bad as it sounds, probably shouldn't have said what I said, but the lad genuinely thinks, as you said, Dean, that they sat down and said, right, we're going to give Chelsea these 6 fixtures. Like, what the fuck?
Man City have a tougher start to the season, so.
And Wayne's not complaining because he lost Champions League final, so he can't really complain, can he?
But the good as well, Chelsea won the Champions League. They finished the season strongly, and you have a Chelsea fan worried about their start to the season.
Yeah.
Like, what if Liverpool finished the season the way they did and then fixtures came out? I'd be buzzing and be like, right, let's bring it on.
I mean, if we won the Champions League last season, we wouldn't have fucking mind, would we?
Especially with winning the Champions League and then hearing that they have another 200 million to spend. Come on, man. Will you, for fuck's sake.
Well,
Mbappe,
lads, just to really enjoy your New Year's Day double is Arsenal versus Man City and Chelsea versus Liverpool. What a New Year's Day that's going to be. Double.
That's going to be quality.
That is
fantastic.
Going out all New Year's Eve, drinking all night, and then just having a little booster at about 7 a.m. with a nice pint of Bulmers in the early house, and then going again.
Get Lewis into the full Liverpool kick, get him ready, for the full New Year.
I'll have Lewis doing jump overs, I will.
Doing burpees. Yeah, so let's look. United then start off their first, say, 4 to 6 fixtures. They start off with a tough match against Leeds.
Can I just say, Mark Hogan is very quiet on the United fixtures since he came out. He doesn't seem to be saying much.
He's because Mark's a realist. Man United are shit, and he knows it. He just comes on. He comes on and puts a front on. Mark deep down knows that Man United are shit, and with Ole at the wheel, long may it continue, but with Ole at the wheel, they ain't gonna win shit.
I just don't think Darren gives a bollocks.
If a Man United fan thinks that Leeds, Southampton, Wolves, Newcastle, West Ham, and Aston Villa is a bad start to the season, God bless poor Alex Ferguson, because you could throw Alex Ferguson, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal in the first 5 games of the season, and he'd laugh down the camera and say, "Let's fucking have you."
But see, it's the timing as well that I found interesting. The timing of the clusters of the fixtures as well, because if you look at United's first 4 games, as you said, they come out then West Ham, Aston Villa, then they have Everton, and then after Everton they have Leicester, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man City. That's a tough run of 4 games.
What's his name? Duncan Ferguson in charge of Everton at that point now.
The way things are going, he might get the job of Spurs.
If rumours are true, don't know how I'm going to feel about Rafa Benitez getting that job.
Look, I mean, I've seen, are you on you're not on Facebook then, are you?
I get arrested if I'm on social media.
In Liverpool Reds group, as he said, Rafa done a lot for Liverpool, so can you really be mad about it?
Well, I'm not mad about it at all, because I presume he's going there to get them relegated, no?
Yeah, there's a meme going around of him talking to Kenny. He's like, "I'm just going back to destroy them."
Let's put it out there just for the viewers and stuff like that. Here's your key derby dates. So starting with the Merseyside derby, obviously the away leg November the 30th, and then the home leg April the 23rd against Everton and Liverpool. The Manchester derbies, the home leg at Old Trafford is November the 6th, and the away leg at Man City is March the 5th. Then the North, I love the way they call this the Northwest derby. Man United versus Liverpool, October 23rd, and March the 19th, Liverpool versus Man United 2 days after Paddy's Day. Then we have the North London derby, Arsenal versus Tottenham, September 25th, and January the 15th for the return leg, Tottenham versus Arsenal. So they're your key derby dates as well that we said we'd put out there. I don't know. I could see a situation looking at the fixtures there, lads, where Liverpool could build up quite an interesting lead. With those first fixtures that are there, looking at what City have to face and what Chelsea have to face. I think United, I think they'll probably start out okay, and get some points on the board there. But I think when they move into October, that's a very serious period for them. That month of October for them is.
Let's be honest about Man United as well. If you know what they feared in those 4-6 fixtures, like Villa and West Ham, to take points off them. If United have a slow start to the season, it's inevitable that they're going to turn on Ole again. And if you're a United fan and you're a genuine United fan, and I'd love to know Darren McCumsky's opinion on it. If they have a slow start to the season and the fans turn on Ole, you know, after this somewhat of a revival because they finished second in the league. What effect is that going to have? Are United going to like have the balls to turn around and say, right, enough is enough? There's a couple of names on there's a couple of names that could still be that there's a couple of managers that are available this summer that may still be available when the season starts. And I'd almost guarantee that the board at United are saying, right, not all these names are going to get jobs before the start of the season. There are going to be one or two that are still going to be sitting around. And I imagine, I genuinely think that if they do have a bad start to the season, that they will pull the trigger, because if I'm a United fan, I'm saying to myself, you can't miss this opportunity. United get a decent manager in, or a good manager who's a strong mindset, who can appeal to big names in the European transfer market. That's what United need. And I said it at the end of the season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is just holding Man United back. They need someone that comes in that isn't afraid to make the big decisions. We've seen it over the season. You know, lads probably getting away with murder and probably getting on the team sheet. You look at this Europa League final. He didn't trust anybody on that bench to come in and try and win that game. They need someone to come in who's going to build a squad, who's going to add to Bruno Fernandes, and possibly turn Pogba into staying, and tell Pogba, look, I'm going to build something that you experienced when you were at Juventus, or what you're feeling at the moment in the French team. I'm going to bring in a couple of big names, and we're going to build something here. United need that.
Lads, but before we leave from tonight, your top 6 for next season. That's all I want to ask about. Is
They're telling me top 2.
Top 6 then. What do you reckon?
Liverpool first, Man City second, Chelsea third, United fourth, possibly Leicester fifth or sixth, and I think, going out on a limb here and saying that I think Aston Villa are going to surprise a lot of people next season.
What about you, Eilish?
I'm going to go with Liverpool top. I'm going to go with Chelsea second. I'm going to go with City third. I'm going to go with, I think, I have a sneaky feeling about Leicester getting fourth. I think they're going to figure it out. I think United are going to end up fifth. And I think Aston Villa are going to end up sixth. I'd normally put Arsenal in the mix there, but I think Arsenal have way too much work to do to figure it all out in a single window. That's all I'd say about that. But that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'll be very happy with that. But I think Chelsea this year are going to be very, very powerful with a full season with Tuchel. I think they're going to be so strong, and they are going to make more signings. And good Lord, if the truth about Haaland that we're hearing at the moment is the actual truth.
There's talk now that Varane is going to stay at Real Madrid, but like if Ramos goes into that Chelsea backline as well, you know, that mean streak. He's very, very, very savvy as a centre half. You add his experience with Thiago Silva's experience. You've Antonio Rudiger there. You've Reece James, and you've Ben Chilwell, and then the next a sensational goalkeeper like that backline. You know, you add Haaland's goals to that team, and you have that backline with Kante in the middle of the park. What you said, Noel. Chelsea should be feared next season.
Big time. I think to be honest with you, I think even if they don't add, I think there's going to be a fear there, because they were definitely the informed team in the second half of the season when Tuchel came in, and very, very difficult to beat. I know West Brom did a number on them, but that's just. You know what I mean? That's 1 in a million, you know what I mean? But I just think I really think Chelsea. I think this season is going to be really Chelsea and Liverpool battling it out. I think Man City, I think they're going to change a few players and change a few things up, and I think they're going to be in a bit of a transition. And I think they might get caught cold at the start of the season because they tend to start a little bit slower. And I think if that's the case, I think potentially Chelsea and Liverpool could be out of sight very quick, and you might not be able to make that up. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. But that's my thinking. Dane, what are you going for?
Everton to win it.
I think Liverpool top, Chelsea second, City third, I'm going to go with Leeds in 4th because I do believe they're going to have a strong season next season. West Ham 5th and Leicester 6th.
Man United not even in the top 6. Whoa.
I think United are going to struggle next season. Genuinely, I think they're going to struggle. I think unless they replace Ole, they're going to continue to struggle, and they probably won't do that at Christmas time. And by that point, it'll be too late.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge United, isn't it? I mean, you wouldn't necessarily say this year that they struggled. You know what I mean?
They weren't great. Like when you look at, like I look at this, like the season gone, like the season Leicester won it. There wasn't really that one standout team this season. Like City played well, Chelsea played well. Each team had the standout. Like each team had the performances, but it wasn't, a league-winning season either.
But there was a consistency to United, though. You know what I mean? They ground out.
They may have been unbeaten away from home all season. Like I think other than Man City had a slow start to the season, and when they got rolling, they marched towards the league. But I think the standard of everyone else below them wasn't great. So, like even though Ruben Diaz came in, steadied the ship, and everybody's talking about Pep, this is his greatest team and all. In my opinion, the standard below City for the majority of the season wasn't great. So
no, it wasn't.
It's like people said about Liverpool. You can't call that Liverpool team the greatest Premier League champions ever. But for me, that Liverpool team was better than the Man City team of this season.
100%.
As I said, the standard under Man City after Man City's slow start to the season wasn't great at all. So,
I mean, but when you look at it,
can Man City get better though? That's the thing. Can they get better? Because the standard below them, Chelsea are going to be outstanding. I think Liverpool are going to be outstanding. Remains to be seen what happens with United this summer. Leeds are going to push teams on. Aston Villa are going to push teams on. If you look, I don't know what Wayne thinks about it, but what can Man City do to make that team better? Like, can Kevin De Bruyne be better than he was? I don't know.
You look at last season compared, and I don't mean to go back to last season. You look at last season. Last season you had Aston Villa top at 1 point, Everton top at 1 point, and then like closer to Christmas. Like it's been the fourth season where it was so tight up until Christmas, and you're right. The standard below City was shit.
Yeah, but
when you look at it,
as bad as Liverpool were until they got that little run together, City finished, like, we only finished 17 points behind City, whereas Man City finished 18 points behind us. But yeah, nobody talked about how bad they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, but my only fear this season is Chelsea, I think.
Only thing that matters is October 30th when we're back in Anfield. Fuck everyone else.
I'd just like to point out it's October 30th and then November, December 14th for Newcastle, January 15th for Brentford, and February 19th for Noilish's birthday.
What day is what date is the last game of the season?
22nd of the 5th.
Are we home or away?
We are at home.
We'll be over there for the trophy parade.
We finished the season against Wolves.
Yeah, we'll be at home for the trophy. We'll be there for the trophy parade.
I doubt it we will, because we'll be broke from Dallas.
All right, so we'll be there in spirit.
Absolutely. That's pleasure as always having you on to have a quick look at the review of the fixtures that released.
Wasn't very quick now, was it?
No, Mom, hurry up. We have to ring the baby before he goes to bed.
Well, as always, I hope you're going to play You'll Never Walk Alone to him to get him asleep.
Definitely.
That's what I want to hear. Well, as always, lads, pleasure. Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube for all the videos. Head over there, support it, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Audio versions of the show are on Anchor. And as always, if you want to contact the show at _upper_tier on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, the upper tier, and we're also on Instagram. We will talk to you boys again real soon. Cheers, boys.
Mandy, will you marry me?